Welcome to the HFY Tales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care.
The year was 2045. Earth lay in the aftermath of devastation, a shell of its former self. The once bustling cities now lay in ruins, standing as silent witnesses to a relentless war that had ravaged humanity. Skyscrapers, once symbols of progress and ambition, jutted out from the ground like broken teeth in a decaying jaw. In this new post-alien invasion world, survival was not enough. The very essence of human connection had been altered forever. At the edge of what was once Chicago, Marcus Sullivan, a grizzled ex-soldier, moved through the shadowed streets. 30 years ago, he would have never imagined himself wandering these crumbling ruins in search of supplies and companionship, but time had a funny way of distorting one's expectations. After 2 long decades without a woman, he felt the weight of loneliness pressing down on him, a tangible entity that whispered what he had lost. The remnants of human society had transformed into a community of survivors, each person struggling with their own demons. Women had, unfortunately, become rare commodities in this strange new era. The alien invaders, having overtaken Earth, had shifted the balance of society and family dynamics to their liking, leaving many men pining away, filled with regret and despair. Marcus would often find himself alone in his small, makeshift dwelling, once a cozy apartment, now a shell stripped of warmth and life. After the war, an unfilled void had taken root inside him, gnawing at his heart. Surrounded by echoes of memories from better days, he reminisced about laughter, the soft touch of a hand, and the intimacy that came all too easily in a world before alien rule. His thoughts drifted like smoke in the cold evening air, and he shook his head, trying to dispel the memories, no matter how hauntingly beautiful they were. That day, the terrain felt more desolate than usual. A rust-colored sun sank behind the horizon, casting an eerie glow over the landscape. Yet, just as Marcus leaned against the crumbling brick of a nearby building, a flicker of movement caught his eye. Emerging from behind a derelict vehicle, a figure stepped into view. Her skin shimmered under the dimming light, a striking amalgamation of colors that spoke to the vibrancy of her alien heritage. This was Althara, the diplomat from a neighboring alien race drawn to Earth for negotiation. Her arrival had been a mix of anticipation and dread, her kind seen as oppressors, yet also potential allies. Marcus hadn't expected to see her this close. The curiosity in her teal eyes spoke of uncharted territories, and a suppressed longing stirred within him. He hadn't talked to a woman in years, much less an alien diplomat. "Human," she spoke, her voice an intoxicating melody that resonated in the stillness of the fallen city. "What is it you desire in this broken world?" Her gaze pierced through his defenses, prompting an unexpected wave of emotion. For the first time in years, the sensation of being seen flooded him. He hesitated. "Connection," he replied, more vulnerable than he'd ever intended to be. Zalthara tilted her head, intrigued. "Connection? An interesting concept for your kind. Tell me, how do you achieve this connection?" He wasn't sure what words could form in response. A nervous laugh escaped him, followed by a sigh. It used to be simple: intimacy, touch, understanding. But here, it feels like clinging to smoke. A flicker of understanding crossed her alien features. "So, you seek physical intimacy?" "No." He shook his head, surprised by the annoyance at her bluntness. "I seek companionship, understanding, someone to share my burdens with." Zalthara took a step closer, and the air shimmered between them, as if charged with a thick electricity. "I find your human desires fascinating. Perhaps I can help you explore this." At that moment, the world around Marcus faded away. The weight of 20 years of solitude, the scars of conflict, and the disdain for forced isolation slipped from his shoulders. There was a chance here to reclaim some part of himself he thought long lost. "Explore," he echoed, nearly breathless. "Yes," she said, her lips curving into a mysterious smile. "To explore the depths of both our worlds, I believe we may find something of great value in each other." He could scarcely believe the words as they hung in the air. A promise, a challenge. In the ruins of a life once lived, could there still be a space for new beginnings? As the sun vanished, leaving shadows to envelop them, Marcus felt something stir deep within him. Could it be hope? Days turned into weeks as Marcus and Zalthara met under the crumbling shadows of a once great city. Their encounters became a sanctuary for Marcus, a reprieve from the desolation that defined his existence. Each time she arrived, he felt a flicker of vitality reawaken within him, a heartbeat echoing the promise of something more. Their conversations began to traverse the divide between their worlds. Marcus shared stories of the pre-invasion Earth, recounting memories of joyful gatherings, the scent of baked bread from his mother's kitchen, and the laughter of children playing. Zalthara listened intently, her eyes gleaming with curiosity as she absorbed the emotions that colored his tales, anchored by an alien understanding that was both foreign and strangely relatable. In turn, Zalthara spoke of her home planet, Crothel, an extraordinary realm of bioluminescent forests and vibrant skies, filled with creatures that soared high. She described her people, their connection with nature, and the intricate rituals that defined their existence. Each word painted vivid images in Marcus's mind, an alien world that felt almost like a dreamscape. It was exciting and surreal, and as they engaged in these exchanges, the initial barriers began to dissolve. On one particularly cool evening, Marcus led her to a rooftop garden, a hidden patch of greenery amidst the ruins. It was a small miracle, an oasis where ragged vines clung to the remnants of civilization. They sat surrounded by what remained of a dying world, dosing in the scent of earthy soil and blooming wildflowers. "Why do you come here?" Marcus asked, gazing at the darkening sky. "Don't you have more important reasons to be on Earth?" Zalthara smiled softly. "Peace negotiations are dull in comparison to discovering what draws life from the heart of your world. Here, I sense something more profound." "More profound?" he echoed, intrigued. Her gaze turned serious, a reflection of the weight she carried both as a diplomat and a person. "My people view connection differently. It's not just physical. It embodies understanding, passion, and collaboration. The very act of sharing experience is an integral part of existence." "That sounds beautiful," Marcus said, contemplating the notion. However, uncertainty crept in, threading through his heart. "But can we truly connect given the gulf between our worlds? Can you forsake your duties for me? For us?" Zalthara's lips pressed into a thin line, her expression revealing layers of conflict. "For my people, bondings occur during a season known as the Narash, a celebration to unite individuals in all forms of relationships. With you, it feels almost primal, an impulse towards something deeper." As her words settled, a charged silence enveloped them. The world around them felt suspended, the wind whispering secrets. Marcus could sense the weight of her emotions, the pulse of attraction that simmered beneath their every interaction. "Tell me about your kind's form of intimacy," she urged, breaking the silence gently. "What does it mean to you?" His heart raced at her question. "It's complicated. I mean, it's more than just an act. It's trust, vulnerability. It's about sharing everything, body and soul, feeling intertwined in every way possible. Yet, after years without it, I feel lost." Zalthara leaned closer, her gaze unwavering. "Perhaps we can explore this together." At that very moment, the world shifted. The unspoken tension crackled like electricity in the air around them. Marcus felt a deep yearning swell up inside him, raw and abandoned for so long. Did he dare to cross that threshold? "Together?" he repeated, his voice a mixture of hope and trepidation. "Yes," she whispered fervently. "Let us discover the depths of our beings, our pleasures and fears." They shared a hesitant gaze as Zalthara reached out to brush his fingers lightly with hers. The touch ignited a spark that sent warmth through Marcus's body. It was a simple gesture, yet it spoke of possibilities, raw and uncharted. As the light dimmed further, leaving only the glow of distant stars, Marcus felt the shadows of his past retreat, if only just a little. Perhaps life after 2 decades of isolation awaited him in this warm, alien bond. He found solace in the very idea of it. "Let's take it slow," he suggested, a hint of nervous excitement lacing his voice. "Slow, but not stagnant," she replied with resolve, the corners of her mouth curving up in a smile, revealing a glimpse of the connection they were starting to cultivate. Together, as darkness enveloped them, they stood at the precipice of a new beginning, a fusion of darkness and light, of human and alien, of loss and reclaiming what it meant to feel alive. As the weeks unfurled, Marcus and Zalthara carved out a sanctuary within the ruins of a world that had all but forgotten intimacy. Their clandestine meetings transformed into moments of genuine exploration, of their beings, their cultures, and the inexplicable pull that guided them together. Initially, Marcus felt hesitant to engage too deeply, haunted by specters of past failures and perpetual solitude. Despite the thrill that coursed through him every time Zalthara reached out, he was cautious. However, under a patient gaze, he found moments of trepidation melting away, replaced by the warmth of burgeoning trust. One evening, while the stars twinkled above them like far-off lanterns, Zalthara captivated Marcus with tales of her own people's customs. "In Crothel," she began, "we believe that all beings possess energy that can be exchanged. Touch is sacred. It's a dance of souls, revealing fears, desires, and strengths." "Sounds like something out of a fairy tale," Marcus replied with a chuckle, but the intrigue lingered in his words. "Do you think we can learn that kind of dance?" A playful glint sparkled in her eyes, teasing him with secret knowledge. "Why don't we try?" With bated breath, she extended her hand, inviting him into a world where boundaries could blur and worlds could meld. As he took her hand, a flood of energy pulsed between them, coursing through Marcus like a wildfire awakening dormant parts of himself, igniting every inch of his skin. "Close your eyes," she instructed softly. "Feel what surrounds you, the air, the silence, my presence." Marcus obeyed, surrendering his vision to the welter of sensations that enveloped him. The chill of the air gave way to the warmth radiating from Zalthara, wrapping around him like an embrace. He focused on his breath, letting the rhythmic sound of their inhalations fill the space where words might have faltered. It was intimacy in an entirely different form. "Now feel my energy," she guided, her voice barely above a whisper. "Breathe with me." As they breathed in harmony, Marcus felt the air between them crackle, bridging the chasm of their disparate worlds. Zalthara imbued him with the essence of her being, the untamed spirit of her starry home, and Marcus reciprocated, sharing the weight of his longing and weariness. In that moment without sight, it felt as if they merged beyond their physical bodies. They became entities suspended in the vast cosmos, exchanging particles of light and darkness, understanding and longing. "Open your eyes," Zalthara said, and as Marcus obliged, the world shifted. They stood mere inches apart, the air pulsing with electric tension. Her teal eyes locked onto his, and he felt his heart race with anticipatory urgency. The connection between them grew palpable, an undercurrent that tugged at his very core. "Your energy is powerful," she murmured, her voice husky with unsaid promises. "You hold so much depth, wounds yet to heal." "Just like you," he replied, vulnerability lacing his voice. "You're more than just a diplomat. It feels like you're searching for something too." Zalthara smiled lightly, the corners of her mouth curving with a tender understanding. "The weight of my responsibilities is heavy. I navigate between worlds, but with you, I feel freer." As if sensing the moment drawing near, Marcus summoned the courage he had so long kept buried. He reached forward, brushing a stray lock of her bioluminescent hair. "Then let's keep exploring, together. Let's not let duties bind us." That invitation hung in the air, a thread connecting their fates. As Zalthara stepped closer, the space between them hummed with anticipation. The distance evaporated like the last remnants of sunlight, plunging them into twilight. "Do you understand what you're asking for, Marcus?" she murmured. "This will be more than just physical. It will change everything." He nodded, his resolve solidified by the weight of the moment. "I know. I want to explore those depths with you, regardless of what it may cost." With that unspoken pact hanging in the silence, Zalthara surged forward, closing the gap that separated them. Their lips met tentatively at first, a delicate dance where flesh brushed against flesh. Shock waves of warmth ignited the space around them, and as they surrendered to the kiss, the rest of the world faded entirely. Emboldened by desire, Marcus gripped her waist, pulling her closer as their kisses deepened. The flavors of their individuality melded together, highlighting the fierce humanity of Marcus against the otherworldly essence of Zalthara. As passion ignited, they lost themselves amidst the ruins of Earth, burning away the memories of solitude. For the first time in decades, Marcus felt whole again, a brilliant phoenix rising from the ashes of despair. But their exploration wasn't without consequences. In the throes of togetherness, a ripple of unrest stirred beyond their sanctuary. The world outside was poised to react. Old norms clashed against new boundaries as whispers of their connection spread like wildfire among humans and aliens alike. The glow of passion lingered as Marcus and Zalthara navigated the new terrain of their union. Each clandestine encounter revealed layers of intimacy. They explored not only each other's bodies, but also the growing bond that defied understanding. Yet, in the shadows of their shared bliss, warning signs flickered like distant stars, foretelling an approaching storm. Marcus found himself waking each night with Zalthara by his side, her presence soothing his troubled mind. The warmth of their connection enveloped him even in sleep, and for the first time in years, he felt safe. Yet beyond their small oasis, the remnants of human society were less forgiving. Conflicted whispers began to circulate among the survivors. Some viewed the budding relationship between Marcus, a human soldier known for his resilience, and Zalthara, a diplomat of the alien race, as a betrayal, a threatening intertwining that jeopardized their hard-won autonomy. The tension escalated when a member of the community, Evelyn, a staunch humanitarian and leader among the humans, confronted Marcus during their community meeting. "Marcus," she began, her voice strong but tinged with concern, "you're losing yourself in fantasy. She's a tool of the invaders, a reminder of our suffering. We can't afford to let our guard down." "You don't understand," he protested, rising to defend the connection he shared with Zalthara. "What I found with her is not just a distraction. There's something deeper. We're wanting to build bridges, not walls." "Bridges," Evelyn challenged, her brow furrowed. "With a representative of the very people who displaced our families? She's not to be trusted." Across the room, the murmurs intensified, voices echoing with uncertainty and fear. The community's undying scars were laid bare, each past wound a reminder of the dangers lurking within constructed alliances. Later that night, as Marcus stewed over the confrontation, he met with Zalthara on their rooftop garden, seeking refuge from the storm brewing beyond them. "There was a meeting tonight," he confessed, the weight of the gathering pressing heavily on his shoulders. "It didn't go well." Zalthara turned, her features clouded with concern. "What happened?" "Evelyn confronted me about us," he replied, running a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling to the surface. "She believes that we're turning our backs on humanity, that our bond is a betrayal." Zalthara's eyes glinted with understanding, but also hurt. "Many of my people would feel the same. I am seen as an outsider, an emissary of a race that conquered them. How can I be your ally when you face such backlash?" "Because you're more than an insider or outsider," he said, stepping closer, his heart racing. "You are Zalthara, unique and vibrant. We have to fight against that perception, against the fear that fuels hatred." A deep breath shook her shoulders, but her firm resolve remained. "If they cannot accept our connection, we may never find the peace we seek." Sorrow curled like smoke around them as the words sank in. The thread of separation loomed large, heavy like the humid air before a storm. A few days later, as tension swift, Marcus and Zalthara agreed to invite Evelyn to meet them in their sanctuary, hoping to shed light on their relationship. They believed that open dialogue could dismantle barriers. When Evelyn arrived, tension hung thick in the air. She eyed Zalthara warily, her discontent evident. "This isn't an act of goodwill, is it?" she began, tone icy. "You're here to persuade him into some alliance that jeopardizes everything we fought for." "No," Zalthara spoke, her voice steady. "What we share transcends treaties and politics. What I feel for Marcus is genuine. I wish to find a way for our worlds to coexist." Evelyn crossed her arms, the challenge held in her posture. "You claim to desire peace, but it feels like poison. You're advocating for trust where betrayal has become the norm." What can you offer us that we do not risk losing ourselves over? Zalthara hesitated, her gaze drifting to Marcus. Understanding, perhaps? The chance to learn from one another rather than continue fostering hatred. I want to be an ambassador of change, a bridge to future peace. Evelyn's hardened demeanor began to waver, the struggle shone in her eyes. You may speak of unity, but what of our differences? Trust is hard-earned, and the scars still weep. The weight of silence lay heavily upon them, thick with the gravity of lost hope. We are all afraid. Marcus spoke softly, glancing between them. But healing begins in the most unexpected places. We can and must challenge the narratives that have held us captive. As Evelyn's steely facade softened, Marcus saw a flicker of understanding. But it must be a collective journey, Marcus. This is about survival. We can't become complacent or blind. Zalthara's voice cut through, embracing both women's fears. Then let us forge a new path. Together. Though they didn't reach a resolution then and there, a seed of potential began to sprout, a fragile connection emerging amidst the tensions, threatening to tear them asunder. That night, as darkness enveloped the city, Marcus took Zalthara's hand in his, the energy between them resilient against external forces. The challenges looming ahead were daunting, yet they stood unwavering. They would face the tempest together, unearthing a new understanding of intimacy and alliance in a fragmented world. In the days that followed Evelyn's visit, the air around Marcus and Zalthara felt charged, heavy with unspoken words and the weight of uncertainty. While their initial meetings had brought luminous joy, the societal tensions looming beyond their refuge began to claw at the edges of their sanctuary. Word of their connection spread throughout the human community like wildfire, evoking fiery debates and impassioned discussions that filled the halls of crumbling buildings, echoing off the remnants of a civilization on the brink. Some hailed their union as a symbol of hope, while others painted it as an act of defiance that flirted dangerously with treason. At night, when Marcus and Zalthara would meet beneath the stars, their conversations turned increasingly introspective. Do you believe that we can influence change? Zalthara asked one evening, her fingers entwined with his as they lingered in the rooftop garden. I want to believe it, he replied, gazing into her soulful eyes, feeling the calm resolve settle in his chest. But the fear runs deep. People are terrified of losing what little they have left. That fear can be a fuel or a weapon, Zalthara mused, releasing a slow breath that shimmered like a mist in the cool night. If we don't untangle it, we may find ourselves facing far worse foes than our past. Yet even as they pondered their collective futures, danger lurked on the horizon. Several nights later, Marcus awoke to the sound of chaos outside their shelter. Loud voices clashed against each other, the air thick with shouts and the unmistakable sounds of uproar. He bolted upright, his heart pounding in his chest. Zalthara, he whispered urgently, shaking her awake. Something's happening outside. They quickly dressed, urgency surging through their veins. Stepping into the moonlit turmoil, Marcus realized it was the humans versus an encroaching military faction of Zalthara's people who had come to assert dominance over the human stronghold. These were not the diplomats Marcus had come to know. These were the enforcers, wielding authority and armed with warning shots. Yelling erupted as humans gathered, their forms illuminated by flickering flames kindled from a nearby source, perhaps an act of rebellion against the encroaching threat. Marcus felt his heart drop as he recognized the familiar faces of his former comrades mixed with strangers, their expressions twisted with confusion and anger. Stay close to me, he urged Zalthara, gripping her hand tightly as they maneuvered through the gathering crowd. The tension was palpable, straining almost to the breaking point with the threat of violence hanging in the air. As they turned a corner, they spotted a group of soldiers, their uniforms stark against the ashes of the city. Linked in a line, they brandished weapons, aiming them toward the angry crowd. Amongst the chaos, Marcus spotted Evelyn, her voice rising above the din, pleading for calm amidst the unruly shouts. Evelyn, he called out, panic tightening his chest. He moved closer, Zalthara at his side, fighting against the tide of bodies. Zalthara stepped into the space between the writhing factions, her presence commanding attention as she moved closer to the soldiers. "We are not here to reclaim what you fear to lose," she called out, her voice fortified by sincerity. "I stand before you not as an invader, but as a bridge, a harbinger of what could one day flourish from the ashes of this discord." The soldiers held their position, but their tense grips on weapons began to waver, eyes darting between her and Marcus, who stood anxiously behind her. Marcus could feel the mood shifting as some of the humans began to lower their voices, curiosity overtaking rage. Evelyn stepped forward beside Zalthara, her voice rising through the softening noise. "We have faced enough bloodshed to know that hatred begets more hatred," she pleaded. "If we allow fear to drive us, we'll become what we despise most. We need to build a future, together." Evelyn and Zalthara stood side by side, united in purpose. The sight began to craft a tapestry of possibility, one that offered glimpses of hope amid the shadows. Marcus felt a swell of pride for both women, recognizing that change could come from their willingness to confront fear. "Let's work together, to understand, to heal," Zalthara urged. "This treaty is not about power, it's about collaboration. Allow us to exchange knowledge, culture, and the possibilities of a united future." As uncertainty shimmered across the crowd, murmurs of doubt began to fade, replaced by ponderous thoughts on reconciliation. Slowly, the soldiers lowered their weapons, realizing that the human spirit craved connection, even with those who had once been seen as adversaries. It was then that an elderly human man, his face creased by time, stepped forward. "If we pursue understanding as our aim, what do we stand to lose?" he asked, and the crowd began to quiet as everyone reflected on his words. Encouraged by the success of the moment, Marcus joined Evelyn and Zalthara at the forefront. "What we've begun here tonight is just the beginning. There will be challenges, yes, but together we can show both our peoples that the path to peace requires strength and vulnerability." The air hummed with the weight of his declaration. He could feel a collective breath, the tide of hostility indeed beginning to recede. In that critical moment, he took Zalthara's hand, mirroring the connection they had forged together, and met her gaze filled with determination. As sentiment flourished among both groups, a spark ignited a shared vision. Discussions began to form around rebuilding relationships, fostering understanding, and ultimately laying the penultimate groundwork for a new alliance. Days turned into weeks, and the tide continued to sway in favor of healing. Marcus and Zalthara, now representatives of newfound hope, worked tirelessly alongside Evelyn and leaders from both communities to create pathways that would bridge the vast gulf of misunderstanding. As plans emerged for cultural exchange programs and shared resources, the world around them began to reshape. Glimmers of what was possible filled the gaps between hurt and healing, and a once desolate earth marked with scars of war slowly began to light up. One sunny afternoon, Marcus and Zalthara stood atop the rooftop garden where they had shared countless intimate moments, now teeming with vibrant blossoms, a testament to their combined efforts. "Look at what our love has spawned," Zalthara said softly beside him, her eyes sparkling as they surveyed the bustling community below, humans and aliens working side by side, laughter mingling with unfamiliar dialects. "Together," Marcus replied, turning to face her. "We faced the storm and emerged transformed." Zalthara's expression softened, and together, they reflected on the tumultuous journey that had led them here, facing fears, fighting against stereotypes, and learning the power of intersection. "Do you think we can continue to bridge two worlds?" she asked, her sincerity echoing through the remnants of the day. Marcus took her hand in his, squeezing it reassuringly. "I know we can. We've proven that love knows no boundaries. It creates hope where none existed." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden hue over the landscape, they drew closer, sharing a tender kiss that tasted of affirmation and commitment. It was an interplay of two worlds, demonstrating that the strength of their bond could lead the way toward healing and understanding, a future that refused to remain shackled by the past. With hearts intertwined and a shared vision ignited, they stepped into a new beginning, a world rebuilt not just on survival, but on love.